it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today for another Inspire Create challenge. And today our theme is die cuts. So this is the card that I'm going to show you how to make. It uses the Lilypad Lake bundle. So it's the Lilypad Lake stamp set and the Lakeside dies, which also come with little boats, and a small label die, which I have buried. There we are, this one, which I will be using. So I'm going to be using just those two dies today. My colour scheme is suitably, what's the word I'm looking for? Nautical. So we've got Pool Party, Soft Sea Foam, Balmy Blue, Poppy Parade and So Saffron. I'm going to say here and now, apologies if it sounds like I am in a building that is being pebble dashed. We've just got really heavy rain in South Oxfordshire today. We've even got flood warnings, and having just been to the post office, I had to drive through quite deep standing water just to get there. So it's interesting here at the moment. Anyway, let me show you how I've made this. I'm going to start with sticking together my frame. So my frame is actually layers, and I've used the rectangle stitched dies and apparently stuck them together. So I've used two dies. They are one, there's another one that fits within, and I've cut 3 layers, and I'm going to pile them up to make the frame. I don't now need the washi tape. The washi tape was there so that I could make sure that the frame was the same size on each layer. You can do it by eye, and to be honest, that's what I did with the original, but I know that by eye can scare some people, so I decided I would stick, so I could show you that I have stuck. So that's those. Let me get rid of the washi tape, which is now, of course, stuck on my fingers. And I've just realised I've got a little smudge there, and I've got a little tear. Did I have a little tear on there? Oh no, I got away with it. I thought I had torn one of the layers. So I'm going to pile these up, and all I'm going to do, just make sure that I've got them all the right way round, because there is inevitably, I'm going to get them not. That's right. Okay, so they're not exactly even all the way around. I'm perfectly fine with that. And all I'm going to do is just pop a little bit of multi-purpose liquid adhesive on the first one, and then pop, is that the right one? Yes, it is the right one. So that goes just on top there, and using the liquid adhesive means that you've got a little bit of wiggle room just to make sure that everything is absolutely straight before you adhere it, and then a little bit more liquid adhesive on this one, ready to pop our top layer on. And again, just making sure that everything is lined up properly before I give it a good push to make sure it's adhered. Now, you don't have to go to the trouble of making a 3-layer frame. I just think it gives a nice feature to the card, so that's why I'm doing it. Okay, so I need a scrap of ordinary Whisper White. This was thick Whisper White, so I've got a scrap of ordinary Whisper White, which I'm going to use to stamp the boats on. So let me grab, that's my B block, grab that, and my Memento ink pad, because we are going to use blends. So stamp that. I'll clean that in a moment. And while I have got dies out, I'm also going to stamp the sentiment, which is to see far is one thing, and then that carries on the inside of the card to going there is another. So I'm doing that in Poppy Parade. So just ink that up. Doesn't actually matter which way up I stamp it, but hey, let's try and stamp it the right way up. And there we go. And I'll just run both of those through my die cutting machine. Hopefully they won't jump about because I'm using the magnetic platform, which is always fun. For the smaller dies, it does sometimes cause a little bit of trouble, but I'm going to hope that I can get away with it, and I think I can. Hurrah and la la. Okay. Right, just pop those out. Now I try to do the die cutting before I do any colouring. 2 reasons. A, I then don't waste time if I muck up the die cutting, and B, it gives me a little time for the ink to dry, which can be important. Now I'm actually going to do this in 2 stages. So the first thing I'm going to do is with the So Saffron, and I'm using both So Saffron pens. They come in a combo, or you can buy them separately, but I'm going to be using both. So I'm just going to colour in those bits of this sail because I want the stripes to be in Poppy Parade, and I want to make sure that that is fully dry before I put the Poppy Parade on. I failed to do that on my original, so it is running a little bit because I didn't allow the alcohol to evaporate, so it wicked. So I'm going to do all of the bits that do not involve stripes, and then I can do the stripes. So the hull of this boat is going to be, this is light Night of Navy, and then this is going to be light Night of Navy. Oh, and the jib or genoa, don't know which it is because I can't see it fully. They're kind of the same thing. There is a technical difference, but hey, this is crafting, not dinghy sailing, so we'll not worry about that, A. And that needs to be Poppy Parade. That needs to be Poppy Parade too, so I'll do the hull of that one. And then the jib / genoa of this one. And this is dark Poppy Parade, so it is the kind of true Poppy Parade, and you can see if I put the ink next to the alcohol marker, it matches. And then just very gently add the stripes, and I'm hardly touching the cardstock with the nib of my pen so that I don't overload it. And that is all of the colouring with alcohol markers that I need to do at this stage. Right, so I've got a 5.5 by 3 3/4 inch mat. Don't worry about measurements, they will all be in my blog post, which is linked immediately below, so that's all good. Now I just want to, actually I'm going to use one of the pieces that I cut away. Obviously I can use these for other things in the future. So just getting my pencil, and I'm just going to pop little dots just outside the corners of that so that I know roughly where I need to keep my colouring. And then I'm going to come in with post-it notes to mask off outside of that, and I will be moving those a bit in a moment. Actually, I probably need to move that one down a wee bit. There we go. Right, okay, so I'm going to grab the water and pop that on my H block. And then this is where we build up the colour. So the first colour I'm going to use is Balmy Blue. And don't need that for the moment, don't need that for the moment. So let's clear the decks a bit. So I'm going to ink up, and I'm just going to ink up across the middle of the ink pad. The ink pad is wider than the gap, so long as I stick within the middle of my stamp, it means that I'm not going to over ink and end up going in the wrong place. Then I've just turned my stamp over to restamp, and I am actually going to do that one more time. Just need a scrap of paper. Let's use a delivery note, that's always useful, and just bring that up a little bit further just to get a bit more depth of colour up the top. Then grab my chamois, which is filthy and probably needs a rinse, just not today, and then Pool Party. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing, so go across my stamp and stamp once, and I'm going slightly further up each time I stamp just to get a gradation of colour. Gradation, is that right? It's going to have to do. And then finally, soft sea foam, just to add that last hint of colour. And again, I'm going to go once, and I'm coming down this time twice, just so that we've got a bit more colour. And that is my sea. So clean that off, and I might as well clean off my other stamps while I have them available to do. So that's actually all the... Oh no, it's not all the stamping. I just need one more stamp, and that is the sun, which is this circle, and an A block, and I've got my So Saffron ink, and I'm just going to ink that up and pop it towards the top right hand corner of my space. Clean that off, and then we can start with some shading. So pop that away. Now I'm going to remove that and move these up a bit, because I now want to put in the sky. Oop. But I want to make sure that I don't go outside the frame once it's on. I think I might be slightly high. Oh, no, I'll be all right. Okay, so the only other thing that I need to do is to... Oh, and of course I should have done that before I tidied up, is just cut out a mask for my sun, because that is not going to be shaded with the same colour. So obviously I need to mask that off. So I'm just going to cut around that. Now the die is slightly larger than the stamp, which is why I'm not using the die to cut this out. I want the sky to go right up to the sun, so I don't want a white mark round it if I can avoid it. I may not be able to avoid it, but we'll see how we go. Right, I've got one of my sponge daubers, which I have already put some glycerin on, just some ordinary glycerin. It helps with the blending. So I'm going to grab my Balmy Blue ink pad and just make sure I've got some of that on the lid, which I have. And I just squeeze that onto the lid, just pick a little bit up and then just take any excess off. And I'm going to start off and down just to add, and I'm going into the sea just a little bit, and then I'm going to add colour to my sky, and it will actually be darker or more obvious than you think it is. Just take a little bit more. So although it looks quite pale at this stage, when I remove the masks, you will see that actually it's quite obvious that it's there. So close that up, and reveal time. There we go. So we actually got quite a definite sky, and then just peel that off, and as luck would have it, that is clear. And then I'm going to use both my light and dark So Saffron, and I'm going to use the light first to fill the whole of that area in, and then come in with the dark and go around the outside. And I'm just going to layer that up a bit and not actually cover the middle. And then go back in and add some more light, because that will help blend it all out. So that is that. So now all I really need to do is stick everything together. So this is the frame that we've just made, so I'm just going to add some adhesive to that. And pick that up, preferably without getting ink or glue rather all over me, and then just pop that down so that it is reasonably square in all directions. And it is up from the bottom of the card. Now if you're in North America, you'll find that your rectangles are more in proportion to the your mat, just because that's the way they're cut. But if you're using International A4, you want your larger space to be at the bottom, a bit as if it was a Polaroid picture. Your eye prefers it, the gap being at the bottom than at the top. It's just one of those weird things. So we just kind of have to go with that. Now, these bits just need to be stuck on with some dimensionals. And then we just need to build our card up. So, oops, oh, I'm just all right with that one. So, one large, one mini. One mini on that. And then I only want minis on the end here. I don't want minis all the way along, because I'm going to pop this so that it overlaps the frame. So just a couple is fine. Then let's peel these off. And pop one there. And this one up here. And then this I'm going to add across the bottom so that it's going outside the frame as well as inside the frame. And I'm just going to add a little dot of glue there just to help stick body and soul together. So that just goes there. And once you're happy that it's straight, you can stick your dimensionals down. Then this is all going onto a Poppy Parade base, and then a Balmy Blue, sorry, Poppy Parade mat and a Balmy Blue base. And I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive, and you can see that the alcohol marker has bled through, which is not to be unexpected, or is to be expected, depending on how you want to say it. And I've got the tiniest, weeniest bit of the Poppy Parade showing, and yes, you could gut it if you wanted. And then just fold this so that we know that we're square before we stick everything together. So as this is Inspire Create Challenge, if you go over to my website, you will see a link to the challenge page. And if you go there, you'll see lots of inspiration for using die cuts, and there is lots of inspiration for using die cuts. I think the team has excelled itself this time. So do go and have a look at that. And then why not have a go? There is, other than using at least one die cut, that's all we require. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. There's the original and the new one I've made. And you can see, probably see that this one I had bleeding on the sail for the stripes, and that's purely because I didn't let the yellow dry well enough before I went in with the red. So thank you very much indeed for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't already subscribe, it's in the bottom right hand corner. Just click that subscribe button and then the notification bell, and you'll get to know when I post. I am doing quite a lot of blog hops at the moment, so my posting is not quite as regular as it would normally be. So the days are the same, the times is what's different. The times are what's different. If you would like to buy any products and you're in the UK, they are listed below, and there's also a list of what I've used over on my website as well as links to my online store. Thank you very much indeed for watching today, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks a lot.